So shakshuka is a Middle Eastern tomato stew with eggs baked into it, and it's one of those dishes that everyone should know how to cook. There's few dishes that are as healthy or as cheap. I mean, it's just basically tomato, eggs and cheese. You can't go wrong. The best part though is that it's very versatile. You should think of this recipe as a foundation which you can add to or adjust as you like. You can add more spices or vegetables to the sauce, or you could swap out the toppings with whatever you prefer. So to start, we'll prepare the vegetables. Finely dice one shallot or onion, whichever you have. I prefer shallots because they're a little bit sweeter. Crush and chop 2 cloves of garlic. And we'll roughly dice 1 bell pepper. I'm using a green bell pepper here because I mistakenly thought they were healthier. Turns out red bell peppers are not only healthier, but they obviously taste a lot better too. If you disagree, let me know in the comments so that I can block your account from the channel. I also like to garnish my shakshuka with some sort of roasted vegetable. Most people that I've spoke to hate Brussels sprouts, but I think that's because they're used to having them overboiled and mushy as a side on a Sunday dinner. Roasted sprouts are completely different, and if you've not tried them, I highly recommend. But you could use whatever vegetable you prefer. Broccoli or cauliflower would also work pretty well. To prep the sprouts, chop off the stem, cut them in half, and peel and discard the outer layer. Sometimes the outer layer's okay, but these sprouts are more yellow than green, so I'm definitely getting rid of all the outer layers. Once the sprouts are prepped, I'm using about 300 grams here, toss them with a little bit of salt, pepper and oil, and then set aside. So that's the prep done, let's actually start cooking. First, preheat your oven to about 200 degrees Celsius, that's 400 Fahrenheit. Heat 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil on medium heat in some sort of oven-safe pan. Something like a stainless steel pan, a cast iron pan, or even a non-stick pan if it's oven-safe. Just something without a plastic handle ideally. Once the oil's hot enough, fry the garlic, pepper and shallot with a little bit of salt until it softens, about 5 to 10 minutes. You could also use whatever aromatics or veggies you like. Some ginger or chili might be nice here as well. Once all of that's softened and aromatic, add 1 tablespoon of tomato puree and make sure it makes direct contact with the pan. The idea here is to temper the tomato puree. We want to fry it so that it brings out the colour and its flavour. It should turn from a kind of sterile red to a brick red colour. I'm not using any spices in this recipe, but if you wanted to, this is where you would add any spices so that you could temper those as well and bring out the flavour. Cumin, paprika or coriander would all be great choices. After about a minute, the tomato puree and any spices you're using should start to smell amazing. At this point, we don't want the spices to burn, so we're going to deglaze the pan with some white wine. If you don't fancy getting on the session, you could also just use some vegetable or animal stock or just regular water to deglaze the pan. Either way, no matter what you're using, once the pan is deglazed, stir up everything to combine it and add 1 tin, about 400 grams of chopped tomatoes. You could also use fresh tomatoes instead if you live in a country that can grow more than just potatoes and cabbage, like here in the UK. Whatever you're using, just let that simmer for about 15 minutes until the sauce thickens. Meanwhile, we'll grab a roasting tray and we'll put our sprouts on it. As with all vegetables, you want to make sure you're leaving room between them on the roasting tray so that they actually roast properly and don't steam. If you leave the vegetables too close together, the moisture that's evaporating off them steams the vegetables instead of caramelizing them. And that's the goal. We want to roast them for about 15 minutes until they're caramelized. Incidentally, after about 15 minutes, the sauce should be thick enough to continue. I completely forgot to do this when I made this recipe, but taste the sauce and season as desired because this is your last chance. Once the eggs are in there, you're not going to be able to adjust the sauce at all. You can check if the sauce is thick enough by using a rubber spatula. Make an indentation in the sauce like this. If the sauce doesn't immediately run back together, it's thick enough. If it does run back together, wait a little bit longer for the sauce to thicken. If the sauce is thick enough, make 4 indentations and crack 1 egg in each indentation. Immediately season the egg with some salt and pepper. We'll let those eggs fry for a few minutes just so the base of the eggs gets cooked. If you haven't already guessed from the fact that your oven is on and you're using an oven-safe pan, we're going to finish this dish in the oven. After cooking the eggs for a few minutes, add your garnishes. So in my case, the roasted vegetables, the cremated sprouts, and we'll also add some cheese. I'm using crumbled feta here, but any soft or crumbly cheese works. You could also use blue cheese, brie, whatever you like. Throw the pan in the oven for about 5 minutes, and then turn it to the grill mode and finish for another 2 minutes. If you don't have an oven-safe pan, or you don't have access to an oven, you could also just put a lid on your pan and actually let the eggs steam. Does the steaming approach actually work? I've got no idea, I've never tried it. Probably will though. After 7 minutes, take the pan out the oven, make sure you wear an oven mitt or something because the pan will be very hot, and then garnish it with some herbs and some lime juice. If you're feeling brave, you could also use a splash of hot sauce. They say that people often eat shakshuka family style, as in like straight from the pan, maybe with some bread or some toast to dip in the eggs. Well, I don't know what kind of sick family they grew up in, but in my family we eat off our own plates. But I'm eating it straight from the pan here, no shame. And aside from the literally cremated sprouts, this was a beautiful dish. However you enjoy it, don't forget to subscribe and click one of these links for another recipe or whatever video I felt like making that day.